My name is Callie Marsh. I am 34 years old. And 3 weeks ago, my mom showed up at my front door for the first time in 9 years. 9 years. She was standing on my porch in a cream blouse and dark slacks, pearl earrings she wore to church every Sunday since I was a little girl. She had a rolling carry-on bag, worn at the corners, and a folded piece of paper in her right hand. That paper was not an apology. It was a list. Handwritten. Black ink. 5 bullet points, each one with a $sign. The total at the bottom, $940,000. She did not say she was sorry. She did not ask about my kids. She looked me straight in the eyes and said, "We need to have a conversation about our family's future." And I said, "Come in," 'cause I had been waiting for this moment for 9 years. What she did not know, what she could not have known, was that I had a list of my own. 29 items. Every ignored voicemail. Every birthday card returned with a red stamp. Every screenshot. Every piece of evidence that for 9 years my own mother had treated me like I did not exist. She brought a list of what she wanted. I brought a list of what she did. If you are brand new here, welcome to Silent Revenge. Hit subscribe and drop a comment telling me where you are watching from. I read every single one. And trust me, you are going to want to stay for all of this. I grew up in Clover Creek, Tennessee. Population maybe 1,200 depending on who moved away that month. 1 gas station. 1 pharmacy that doubled as a post office. 1 elementary school where everybody's kids went and everybody's business got told by Tuesday morning. My dad, Raymond, drove a delivery truck for a regional grocery chain for 28 years. Same route. Same thermos. Same steel-toed boots sitting by the front door at 6:15 every single morning. He was a quiet man. Teddy. Kind of dad who showed up to every school play and never once knew what to say at the end. My mom, Beverly, ran everything else. The PTA. The women's ministry at First Baptist. Church potlucks. She decided who brought what dish, who got a meal train when their family had surgery, and whose casserole was good enough to make the Easter spread. She was organized, she was capable, and she kept score of everything. She just never told you the score until it was too late. My younger sister, Brooke, was 3 years behind me in school and twice as loud in every room she walked into. Homecoming court 2 years in a row. Mom's face lit up every time Brooke came home. Dad called her his little firecracker. I was the other one. Quiet one who got straight A's and never needed reminding and somehow never got celebrated for it either. I'm not saying that to be bitter. I'm saying it because you need to understand the math. In our family, love worked like a budget. And Brooke was always the priority line item. I left Clover Creek at 18 on a full academic scholarship to the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. First person in my family to go to college on a full ride. Mom packed my bags, tucked a card inside the front pocket. Daisies on the front. Her handwriting on the inside. This town will always be home. Come back soon. I kept that card for 15 years. It is still in my desk drawer, right next to the navy binder. It was the last truly kind thing she ever wrote me. I met Darius Cole during my junior year in a business analytics class. He sat in the second row, always early, mechanical pencil and a yellow legal pad. He was a marketing major with a minor in data science, and he had this way of listening, really listening, that made you feel like everything you said actually mattered. He was the son of a retired high school football coach from Memphis. His parents split when he was 9. His mom, Vera, raised him and his younger brother alone, working double shifts at a regional hospital until both boys were through school. She showed up to everything. Pool plays. Graduations. Random Tuesday dinners just because she wanted to be there. Darius was black. And from the first conversation we had, sitting on a concrete curb at a food truck festival sharing a lemonade and talking for 3 hours straight, I knew he was exactly the kind of man I had been waiting for without knowing it. We dated for 2.5 years before he proposed. Slow, steady, good years. He met my parents twice. First visit, Mom smiled too wide and called him Derek. Twice. Second visit, she got his name right but talked around him the entire dinner like he was not sitting 3 feet away. Dad shook his hand both times and said almost nothing. I told myself they just needed time. Small town people. Set in their ways. They would come around. Brooke pulled me aside at Easter, leaned over the deviled eggs and said, "Callie, Mom is never going to be okay with this. You know that, right?" I did not know that yet. Darius proposed on a Thursday evening at our kitchen table. No ring yet. Just a conversation. He said, "I want to build a life with you. For real. Will you let me?" I said yes before he finished the sentence. I called home that night. Mom picked up on the second ring. I told her. The line went quiet for 6 full seconds. Then, "Callie, you need to think hard about what this means for this family. Not congratulations. Not tell me about the ring. A warning." Dad got on the line, cleared his throat, said nothing. 2 days later, Brooke sent a text. "Mom has been crying since your call. Are you happy now?" Honestly? Yeah, I was. For the first time in a long time, I really was. 2 weeks after that call, a letter arrived. Not an email. A handwritten letter on ivory stationery in Beverly Marsh's neat cursive. 4 paragraphs. The last one said she could not support what I was doing, that she would not be at the wedding, and that if I walked down that aisle, I should not expect to walk back through their door. The last line was the one I memorized. The one I have never been able to forget. "He will never be one of us, Callie. Not ever." I read it 3 times. Folded it. Slid it into a manila envelope and put it in my file cabinet. Something in me, the part that color codes my tax folders and keeps every receipt, said, "Do not throw this away." I did not throw it away. We got married at Davidson County Courthouse on a Saturday in July. 14 guests. All friends, all from Darius's side except my college roommate Jenna, who flew in from Phoenix in a yellow sundress and cried through the whole thing. Vera drove up from Memphis with a garment bag, a pan of homemade banana pudding, and a string of pearls she clasped around my neck while she held both my hands and said, "Welcome home, sweet girl." There was no aisle. There was a hallway with fluorescent lights, a judge who mispronounced Darius's last name, and a reception at a barbecue spot 2 blocks away where we pushed 4 tables together and Darius's college friend gave a toast so funny it made Vera snort laugh into her sweet tea. My dress was $140 from a consignment boutique on Elliston. White. Simple. Fit like it was made for me. Darius wore a navy suit from the clearance rack and looked like the best thing I had ever seen in my life. That night, sitting on the edge of our bed holding the grocery store roses from our table centerpiece, $8, my hand shook. Not from doubt. From grief. 'Cause I had just done the most important thing of my life and the 2 people who raised me decided it was not worth showing up for. A week later, I mailed a card to Clover Creek. Inside, our courthouse photo. Both of us on the steps, squinting in the afternoon sun, grinning like we just won something. On the back I wrote, "We're happy. I hope someday you can be happy for us." Came back 11 days later. Red stamp. Turned to sender. I stared at that stamp for a long time. Then I opened the manila envelope and wrote on the outside in red pen. Item 1. Wedding photo. Mailed July 2016. Returned July 2016. That was how the binder started. Year 1 was brutal. I called home 4 times. Voicemail every time. I left short, careful messages, the kind where you choose every word because you know it might be the last one she ever hears from you. "Hey Mom. Just checking in. Darius got a position at a digital marketing firm downtown. I passed my CPA exam. I miss you. Call me whenever you're ready." She never called back. I mailed birthday cards. Hers, Dad's, Christmas. All came back with the red stamp. Dad sent one text in February. For words, your mother needs time. That was it. For words. No follow-up. Just a stone sitting in my phone that I could not pick up or put down. Brooke posted a family photo that spring. Mom, Dad, Brooke, and Brooke's boyfriend at Sunday dinner. Caption: my whole world. I was not in it. I had not been invited. I printed the screenshot, not to torture myself, just because I had started doing something I could not explain. Filing things. Every returned envelope. Every unanswered call. Every piece of proof that my family had decided I no longer existed. By March, the manila envelope was too full. I bought a navy blue 3-ring binder, added divider tabs, labeled everything in red pen, and organized it by year. He will never be one of us, Callie. Her voice played at the strangest moments. 2 a.m. The dentist's waiting room. The cereal aisle at the grocery store. The words stopped cutting as deep around month 8. But they never stopped entirely. The binder just kept getting thicker. And around this same time, Darius started building something that would change everything. By year 2, Darius had quit his job. Not on a whim. He had a plan he had been sketching out for 6 months. He had spotted a gap nobody was filling. Local service businesses, HVAC guys, landscapers, independent plumbers, and contractors were losing money left and right because they had no affordable way to manage their marketing and their clients. Big agencies ignored them. DIY platforms confused them. They were stuck paying too much for too little. Darius wanted to fix that. He set up 2 monitors in our second bedroom, a whiteboard he bought at the dollar store, and started building a platform called Gridwork, a done-for-you marketing and client management system built specifically for small trade businesses. He built the product. I built the books. Tracked every dollar in and out, built the pricing model, handled every vendor contract. Neither of us slept enough. Gridwork launched with 6 clients and a free trial that crashed on day 1 for 45 minutes. We ate cereal for dinner. That same year, I upgraded the binder. Added a proper cover page. Red pen labels on every tab. Year 1 through year 2, 13 items total. I want to be clear about something. I did not keep that binder out of hate. I did not flip through it at night cooking up some revenge fantasy. Most weeks I forgot it existed. Sat in the bottom drawer behind my W-2s collecting dust. But every time something new arrived, a returned card, a forwarded screenshot, a voicemail I wrote out word for word because deleting it felt like erasing proof, I filed it. Same process every single time. Print. Label. Date. Red pen. Darius asked me once why I kept all of it. I told him the truth. Because someday our kids are going to be old enough to ask why they don't have grandparents on my side. And when that day comes, I want them to have the facts. Not my version. Not her version. The actual receipts. He nodded. He got it. He was building a tech company. Tech people keep build logs. The twins came on a Tuesday afternoon in October, 3 weeks early and furious about it. Owen had a full head of dark curls. Maya had Darius's chin. They both came out screaming and neither of them stopped for a while. Darius held them both in the delivery room and completely fell apart. Full, ugly, real tears. I had never seen him cry before. He stood by the hospital window with one baby in each arm and said, "They are going to know they are loved every single day of their lives." And I believed him because I had watched him mean every word he ever said for 4 years. Vera drove up from Memphis that same night. She stayed for 2 weeks. She cooked. She cleaned. She walked Owen at 3 a.m. so I could get 2 hours of sleep. She brought hand-knitted blankets, one green, one yellow, and silver charm bracelets engraved with their birthdays. She sang old gospel songs in the rocking chair while the babies fell asleep on her chest. That right there. That is what a grandmother looks like. I had mailed Beverly the ultrasound photos 5 months earlier. Returned. I mailed birth announcements. Returned. I mailed photos, Owen asleep on Darius's chest, Maya gripping my finger so hard it left a red mark on my skin. All of it. Returned. 3 more items in the binder. Item 789. Then my friend Keisha from high school sent me a screenshot without any explanation. It was a text from Brooke to their shared group chat. Callie's kids don't have real grandparents on her side. That's what she chose. I sat in the nursery holding my phone for 11 minutes. Maya was asleep in the crib. Owen was in my arms. I could hear Vera in the kitchen humming something soft and sweet while she washed bottles. My children had a grandmother. Her name was Vera Cole. She drove 4 hours each way every 6 weeks and had never once missed a birthday. I printed the screenshot. Filed it. Item 10. Red pen. Dated. By year 4, the binder had 16 items. Gridwork had 14 employees and a real office in the Gulch neighborhood of Nashville. Darius still wrote code every morning before 9. I was the company's financial lead, handling everything from vendor deals to quarterly investor updates. We hired a part-time nanny for the twins. We ate dinner together every night at 6:30, no exceptions. The silence from Clover Creek had become background noise. Like traffic outside a window you stop noticing after a while. Vera visited every 6 weeks like clockwork. Owen and Maya called her Grammy V. She taught Owen to make biscuits from scratch. She taught Maya the name of every bird that landed in the backyard. She never had to be asked twice. That year, Darius brought on a head of sales, a guy named Preston Walsh, ex-advertising exec from Chicago, sharp and funny and instantly one of our closest friends. Late one night after a long budget review session, I mentioned the binder. Just offhand. Half expecting Preston to look at me like I was off my rocker. He put down his coffee, looked at me for a second and said, "So you've basically been running a 9-year financial audit on your own family. That's not crazy. That's actually kind of genius." It was the first time I laughed about any of it. That mattered more than I expected. Year 5, we bought a house. A craftsman bungalow in East Nashville, 3 bedrooms, original hardwood floors, a backyard with a peach tree the twins immediately turned into their fort and their headquarters and their kingdom. I remember signing the mortgage papers at the kitchen table and sitting back in my chair and thinking, nobody handed us this. We built this ourselves from nothing. Owen started kindergarten. Maya started kindergarten. They fought every morning about who got the window seat on the bus. Beautifully, painfully normal. Year 7 changed everything. Gridwork closed an $11 million Series B round from a growth equity firm in Atlanta. I remember the moment. Darius was making pancakes for the twins. His phone buzzed. He listened, said 2 words, hung up, looked at me across the kitchen and said, "They said yes." I did the math before the butter finished melting in the pan. Post-money valuation, $62 million. Darius and I still held 24%. We were not rich. Not yet. But the numbers were heading somewhere I had only ever seen on a spreadsheet before. I left my role at the accounting firm and joined Gridwork full-time as CFO. My name was on the company paperwork next to Darius's for the first time. Cool. Official. The Series B got a write-up in 2 fintech newsletters and a regional business magazine. Kind of coverage your industry notices and everyone else scrolls right past. But someone in Clover Creek, Tennessee did not scroll past. 2 weeks after the article ran, Keisha texted me out of nowhere. "Hey, your mom asked Deborah at church what Series B funding means. Wanted to know what Darius's company was worth. Just thought you should know." I read that 3 times. 7 years of silence. Not one card kept. Not one call answered. And now she was quietly asking what Series B meant. The math was changing. Beverly Marsh was waking up. That same year, I sent what I already knew would be my last birthday card to Clover Creek. I had sent one every year. 7 straight years. 7 returned. But this time I tucked something extra inside. A photo of Owen and Maya at their school's fall carnival. Matching flannel shirts. Face paint. Owen missing his 2 front teeth. Maya grinning so wide you could barely see her eyes. On the back of the photo I wrote, "They ask about you sometimes. I tell them you live far away." I sealed it. Mailed it. Braced for the red stamp. Came back 9 days later. But something was wrong. The envelope had been opened. The flap was creased, and the glue had been cut and then resealed with a thin strip of clear tape. I held it up to the kitchen light. Turned it over twice. Someone had taken out that card. Looked at my children's faces. And then sealed it back up and sent it back anyway. I sat at the kitchen table with that envelope in my hands for a long time. It was Dad. I was almost certain it was Dad. He had opened it. He had seen those little faces. He had wanted to keep it. And she had made him send it back. He wanted to keep it. She would not let him. Stay right there. Because what happened next, what I found in a group chat I was never supposed to see, changed everything. And I mean everything. Don't go anywhere. My friend Keisha called one Sunday evening, voice tight. "Okay, so Brooke accidentally added me to a family group chat. I think she mixed up my number with someone else. I was in it for 4 days before anyone noticed. I took screenshots. She sent me 8 of them. I read them in the parking lot of Owen's flag football game, engine off, dashboard clock reading 6:52, while I could see Owen through the windshield running across the field with a red flag on his belt, laughing so hard he nearly tripped. Brooke. His company was valued at $62 million last round. I've been tracking the funding filings. If they go public, this is going way higher. Beverly, how do we approach this? She's not taking my calls. Raymond, maybe I should reach out first. Just feel things out. Beverly, no. I need to go in person. With a real plan. Something organized. Brooke, make a list. Be very specific about what we need. Callie is a numbers person. She responds to numbers. Lead with that. Beverly, how much do we ask for? Brooke, start with the mortgage and Dad's medical. Then retirement. Add Tyler's college fund. Layer it. Make it look like a family investment, not just asking for money. Raymond, I don't know if this is right. Beverly, Raymond. She has more money than this entire county. She owes this family. Raymond went quiet after that. I sat in that parking lot for 7 minutes. My hands were not shaking because I was hurt. 9 years of silence. 9 years of returned birthday cards and returned baby photos and a letter that said do not come back. And now that the numbers had changed, now that I was worth something to them on paper, now they wanted to approach with a plan. I drove home. Printed the screenshots. Filed them. Item 26. Family group chat. Financial planning confirmed. That night, after the kids were asleep, I showed Darius. He read them slowly, the way he reads contracts. Line by line. When he finished, he set the phone on the counter, stared at the wall for a moment, and said, "What do you want to do?" Not, "I'll handle it." Not, "We should cut them off forever." Just, "What do you want to do?" Nothing yet. But I want to be ready. He nodded. That was Darius. The next morning I called a family attorney named Anita Howard. Late 50s, no nonsense, the kind of lawyer who earns every penny she charges. She walked me through our position in 25 minutes flat. Beverly had no legal claim to our money. Our financial structures were solid. No grandparent visitation rights in Tennessee without an existing relationship. 9 years of documented separation made any legal threat laughable. I thanked her and went back to work. But I also drafted a letter that week. Did not send it, just wrote it out at the kitchen table at midnight. Every item in the binder listed by number and date. 26 items. Ready if I ever needed them. Hold on. Before I go any further, I need to ask you something real quick. Has someone ever cut you off completely and then come running back the second your life changed? Drop that in the comments right now. Tell me your story. 'Cause I know I am not the only one who has lived through this. And if you have not subscribed yet, do it now. This channel is for every person who has ever been underestimated by the people who were supposed to love them most. Year 9. The IPO process started in February. Investment bankers flew to Nashville. 3 rounds of meetings in our conference room, the same one with the whiteboard Darius had bought for $12 at a church rummage sale years ago and refused to replace because, as he put it, it still works fine. They reviewed our numbers, our growth charts, our customer retention. Darius handled the product vision. I handled every financial slide, every projection, every risk disclosure. CFO. Co-founder. My name was on all of it. Took 8 months. 8 months of due diligence and legal review and investor roadshows and a stress level that made my jaw ache when I woke up every morning. Darius barely slept. I barely ate. Owen asked why Dad kept talking to his laptop at dinner. Maya drew a picture of me at my desk with a speech bubble that said, "Just one more email," and put it on the refrigerator. In September, Anita finalized the trust documents for Owen and Maya. 2 ironclad trusts, fully funded, legally protected. Nobody, not Beverly, not Raymond, not Brooke, not any version of any Marsh who showed up with a list, could touch a single dollar of what belonged to my children. I signed those papers on a Thursday afternoon with the Cumberland River out the window. Anita asked if I had questions. I had one. If a family member tries to claim any of these funds, what happens? Nothing, she said. That is the entire point. 2 weeks before the IPO, Brooke texted me. First time she had reached out without hostility in 9 years. Just, "Hey, thinking about you. How are the kids doing?" 6 words. 9 years. How are the kids? I did not reply for 5 days. I wanted to see if she would follow up. She did. "I'll be in Nashville next month for work. Would love to grab coffee." I agreed to meet her. Not at my house. At a coffee shop in the Gulch. Public neutral 1 hour, and then I had somewhere else to be. Brooke showed up 12 minutes late in a blazer and boots, looking like she had spent the drive over rehearsing how to seem casual. She hugged me for too long. She told me I looked amazing 3 separate times in the first 15 minutes. Then the questions started. How big was the house? What neighborhood? Did the kids do any private enrichment programs? Was Darius still running things day to day? How many employees now? Had they raised any new capital? I lost count, somewhere north of 30 questions. Not one of them was "I'm sorry." Halfway through our coffees, I caught something in the window reflection behind her. Brooke had her phone angled toward the parking lot. She was taking photos of my car. A silver SUV. She was building a report for Beverly. I let her finish her latte. I answered every question pleasantly and vaguely, like small talk with a stranger on a long flight. We hugged goodbye. She held on too long. I drove straight home and opened the binder. Item 28. Brooke scouting visit. Date. Red pen. Notes, 30+ questions documented. Photographed my vehicle. 0 apology. 0 acknowledgement of the past 9 years. Then I called Anita. "They're coming. Mom, probably right around the IPO. She'll bring a list." A pause. Then Anita said, "Callie, you have documentation." "I have a binder." "How thorough?" 28 items. 9 years. Every returned card, every screenshot, every piece of proof. Another pause. "You don't need me for the personal part of this. The legal structure is done. What you're walking into isn't a legal fight. It's a conversation. And you already know what you need to say." She was right. Grid work went public on a Wednesday in October. Darius and I stood on the floor of the NASDAQ in New York. Him in a charcoal suit, me in a navy blazer, and watched the numbers move. Stock opened at $17. By noon, 19. By close, 21. Market cap, $412 million. We held 11% combined. $45 million. On paper. I stared at that number on my phone. Checked the math twice. It was right. Of course it was right. I had been checking the math on this company for 9 years. TechCrunch ran a feature. Forbes called for a comment. A Nashville station ran a 3-minute segment. Local couple brings small business platform to Wall Street. They showed our company photo. Darius and me side by side equal. We celebrated with room service sushi in our hotel room overlooking Times Square. Owen and Maya were back in Nashville with Vera, who had flown in for the week. Darius fell asleep on the couch at 9 o'clock, still wearing his suit jacket. I sat up in the quiet. Not because of the IPO, because of what I knew was coming next. I checked my phone. 5 missed calls. Area code 931. Clover Creek. 3 from numbers I did not recognize. 1 from Raymond. 1 from Beverly. I set the phone face down on the nightstand and went to sleep with my hand resting on top of it, like I was trying to hold something still that was already moving. I already knew. She was coming. And I was going to be ready. Dad's voicemail came the next morning while I was brushing my teeth. His voice was older than I remembered. Thinner at the edges. Cadence was still the same, slow and careful, a man who measured his words like he was loading a truck, one at a time, nothing wasted. But underneath it there was something new. Crack. Something that sounded like a man who had been holding a door closed for 9 years and was finally tired of the wait. Callie girl. I saw you on the news last night. You and Darius up there in New York. I didn't know what to say, so I called. I'm proud of you. I have always been proud of you. A long pause. Breathing. Your mom wants to talk. She has some things she'd like to go over with you. Call when you can, baby. I love you. Played it 3 times over the bathroom sink. Callie girl. He had not called me that since I was 12 years old. And I'm proud of you. For words. For words I had spent a decade waiting to hear from him. But I listened again. I listened to the shape of the call. He called the morning after the IPO. Not the morning after our wedding. Not the day the twins were born. Not after any of the 7 birthday cards or the ultrasound photos or the birth announcements I had sent and gotten back with red stamps. After the IPO. He was proud of me. I believed that. What he had never been was brave enough to say it when saying it cost him something. When there was no financial news attached to the call. I saved the voicemail. I did not put it in the binder. It was too sad for the binder. Instead, I sat on the hotel bathroom floor and let myself feel it, all of it, the grief and the love and the specific ache of a father who was there and not there at the same time, for about 4 minutes. Then I got up. Finished packing. We had a flight to catch. Beverly's text came 2 days after we got home. It was long. Careful. No typos, no autocorrect mistakes, no shorthand. This was a draft. She had written it, revised it, probably read it out loud to herself more than once. Callie, I know we have lost a lot of time together. I think about you and the children every single day. Life is short and I have come to believe that some things matter more than the differences that can come between a family. I would like to talk about the future, about what it means to really be a family again. There are things that families take care of together. I believe we can find a way forward if you are willing to try. I counted. 68 words. 68 words after 9 years of silence. Not one of them was sorry. Not I was wrong. Not I owe you an apology. Not I can't stop thinking about the birthday cards I returned or the photos of your babies I sent back unopened. Not one word about the letter she wrote on ivory stationery that told me he would never be one of us and I should not expect to walk back through their door. She wrote the differences that can come between a family. Like our estrangement was just something that happened to us. A weather event. Nobody's fault. Just one of those things. I did not reply. I took a screenshot, printed it, opened the binder. Item 29. First direct message from Beverly in 9 years. 68 words. No apology. Red pen. Dated. I closed the binder, put it back in the drawer, and looked at the photo on my desk. The 4 of us at Gulf Shores last summer. Owen on Darius's shoulders. Maya's hand in mine. All of us squinting into the sun like we own it. That was my answer. Right there in a frame. Keisha called on a Friday. Brooke has been telling people around town that she visited you in Nashville. She's calling your house a mansion. Her word. She told Deborah at the salon that Darius struck gold and you drive a fancy car and your kids go to a private school. I leaned on the kitchen counter. Half of that is wrong. It's not a mansion. The kids go to public school. Callie, that is not what matters right now. Your mom booked a flight to Nashville. Brooke told Deborah. She leaves next week. Closed my eyes. I know. How do you know? Because Brooke spent an hour photographing my car and asking me 30 questions about my bank account without once asking how I was actually doing. Silence. Then, so what are you going to do? I'm going to open the door. I'm going to let her sit down. I'm going to listen to every single word she says. And then I'm going to show her what I've been keeping in the bottom drawer of my desk for 9 years. I hung up and stood in my kitchen. Grammy V's photo was on the fridge next to Owen's crayon drawing of a dinosaur and a postcard Maya had sent from a 3rd-grade field trip. Vera Cole was the only grandmother my children had ever known. She had shown up for 9 years running without being asked once. Beverly was coming. I had seen it building since the Series B, since the LinkedIn views, since the church gossip, since Brooke's 30 questions at that coffee shop. The numbers had changed. And Beverly Marsh was coming to collect on 9 years of silence. But I was not the 18-year-old who left Clover Creek with a scholarship and a card that said come home soon. I was a CFO, a mother, a woman with a binder and 29 items in it. And I was ready. Before I tell you what happened when she rang that doorbell, there is something else you need to understand. Something that had been building in the background while Beverly was buying a plane ticket. In Clover Creek, news moved through First Baptist Church the way water moves through old pipes, slow, steady, and eventually everywhere. When I married Darius 9 years ago, the Whisper Network had done its work within 2 days. Beverly Marsh's daughter married someone who wasn't one of them. Prayer Chain shook its head. Beverly used that small-town pressure like a tool. She cut me off partly because she could not stand the look she was getting at Sunday service. But now the whispers had turned around completely. Callie Marsh's husband just took their company to the stock market. Callie Marsh is a CFO worth $45 million on paper. And Beverly Marsh, the woman who ran the Easter potluck and organized the church food drives and knew everyone's business, had thrown away her own oldest daughter 9 years ago for marrying a man she refused to accept. People were not whispering anymore. They were asking Beverly questions to her face. At church. The salon. The grocery store. You must be so proud of Callie. When are you going to visit the grandbabies? Are you headed to Nashville for the holidays? And Beverly Marsh had to stand there and smile because she had no good answer. She could not admit the truth without destroying the image she had built for a decade. She could not pretend everything was fine without someone eventually asking the obvious question. Then where were you when the twins were born? Pressure she had used as a weapon was now pointed back at her. And that was when she bought the plane ticket. She arrived on a Tuesday morning. I know the exact time because I was standing at the kitchen window drying a coffee mug when the rideshare pulled up to the curb. 10:22. Beverly stepped out slowly. Cream blouse, dark slacks, pearl earrings, the rolling carry-on worn at the corners. She stood on the sidewalk for almost 30 seconds, just stood there before she finally walked up the path. I watched her eyes move across the house. The porch. The flower beds Darius had put in that spring. Porch swing where the kids ate popsicles on summer evenings. She was not taking it in. She was calculating. The doorbell rang. I opened the door. We stood 3 feet apart for the first time in 9 years. She looked older. More gray. Lines around her mouth I had not seen before. Her eyes, dark green, same shade as mine, were already wet at the edges. Callie. Mom. 4 seconds of silence. I came to talk about the children's future. Not I missed you. Not I was wrong. Not I am so sorry. I came to talk about the children's future. Children she had never laid eyes on. Children whose photos she had returned in sealed envelopes. I looked at the folded paper in her hand. I looked at the carry-on. Come in. I took her to the kitchen. Not the living room, the kitchen, because the kitchen in our house is where the truth lives. It had a table, afternoon light, and a refrigerator covered in Grammy V's photo and the kids' artwork and a world map Maya had stuck pins in for every country she planned to visit someday. Beverly sat. I poured 2 glasses of water. No coffee. Coffee was for people who were staying. Her eyes landed on the refrigerator. On Vera's photo, Grammy V holding Owen and Maya on her lap at the park, all 3 of them laughing at something. She stared at it for 5 full seconds. Something moved across her face that I could not quite read. Guilt, maybe. Or jealousy. Or the specific horror of seeing yourself replaced. Then she unfolded the paper. Her handwriting. Black ink. 5 neat bullet points. She read them aloud. Retirement supplement for your father and me, $400,000. College fund for Tyler, Brooke's son, my grandson, $180,000. Your father's medical expenses, hip replacement and follow-up care, $60,000. Mortgage payoff on the family home, $220,000. Monthly family support ongoing, $3,000 per month. She set the paper on the table and looked at me. This is what families do, Callie. Your father gave 30 years of his life to that job. He sacrificed for you. For both of you. It is time for the family to come together and support each other. $940,000. Plus $3,000 a month forever. Calculated. Layered. Made to look like something reasonable. Something a family does. Not once during that reading did she say my name with the word sorry anywhere near it. I picked up her list. Read it one more time. Folded it. Set it down. Then I stood up and walked to my office. I want you to remember what I told you at the very beginning of this story. I said I had a list of my own. 29 items. 9 years. And now you are about to see exactly what that meant. The bottom drawer of my desk. Under the tax folders behind the old W-2s. Right where it had been for 9 years. I pulled out the binder. Navy blue, 3-ring, heavy in a way that had nothing to do with the paper inside it. I carried it back to the kitchen and set it on the table right next to her list. 2 documents. Hers 1 page. 5 bullets. $940,000. Mine 29 items. 9 years. 0 apologies received. Beverly looked at the binder. The red pen labels showing through the clear cover. At the thickness of it, nearly 3 inches of tabs and documents and printed screenshots and returned envelopes still with their original red stamps on them. What is that? I sat down. Placed both hands flat on the table. You brought a list, Mom. I brought one too. She stared at it. I opened to tab 1. I did not yell. I did not cry. I did not perform a single thing. I read the way I present financials to our board of directors. Calm. Organized. Item by item. I pulled out the first envelope. White. Red stamp. Turned to sender. Till sealed 9 years later. Item 1. Our wedding photo. Mailed July 2016. Returned 11 days later. I set it on the table. Second envelope. Item 2. Birthday card. Mailed September 2016. Returned. Third. Item 3. Christmas card. December 2016. Returned. I laid them out one by one. Slow. The way you lay out evidence. No emotion. No drama. Just documents in chronological order on a kitchen table between two women who both knew exactly what they meant. Beverly's mouth opened. Closed. She stared at the row of envelopes growing across the table. Each one a door I had tried to open. Each one she had slammed shut and sent back with a red stamp. These are 9 years of birthday cards. Everyone came back. Callie, I'm not done. Year 2. A voicemail transcript printed and stapled to a page with the date and timestamp. An unanswered call log. The Facebook screenshot of Brooke's Sunday dinner photo with no Callie, no Darius, no grandchildren. Item 4. Voicemail. January 2017. 52 seconds. No callback. Beverly pressed her fingers to her lips. Her eyes were filling up. Item 5. Text from Dad. February 2017. For words, your mother needs time. I set it on the table. 9 years, Mom. How much time did you need? The tears came. I expected them. Beverly covered her face with both hands and made a sound I had heard my entire childhood, the controlled cry she used when she wanted sympathy without giving up any ground. The same cry for a forgotten birthday. The same cry when her casserole got bumped from the potluck finals. I was hurt, Callie. You chose him over us. You walked out. I did not walk out. You told me not to come back. I was upset. People say things. I turned to tab 4. Item 16. Text from Brooke to a mutual friend. Forwarded to me, March 2020. I read it out loud. Callie's kids don't have real grandparents on her side. That's what she chose. Beverly flinched. Brooke didn't mean it that way. That is her exact text. Word for word. I turned to the last tab. Pages of screenshots. Item 26. Family group chat. Last October. Shared by someone who was accidentally added. I read them out. Brooke's message, make a list. Be specific. She responds to numbers. Beverly's response, she has more money than this entire county. She owes this family. The theatrical tears dried up. Something harder came up behind them. Something I recognized from 100 childhood moments. The expression Beverly Marsh wore when she got caught. Not guilt. Anger. You had no right to see that. I looked straight at her. You had no right to return photos of my children. Kitchen went completely still. I reached for one specific item. Tab 5. The envelope that was different from all the others. Same white paper. Same red stamp on the front. But the flap had been cut and resealed with a strip of clear tape. I held it up between us. Item 23. Birthday card, year 7. Inside this card was a photo of Owen and Maya at their fall carnival. On the back I wrote, they ask about you sometimes. I tell them you live far away. I set it on the table. This one was opened. Someone took out that photo, looked at my children's faces, and then sealed it back up and sent it back anyway. Who opened it, Mom? Nothing. Dad opened it. He wanted to keep it. And you made him send it back? Beverly's hands were flat on the table. Her eyes stayed on that envelope, on the tape, on the thing she could not explain away. And then something happened that I was not prepared for. Her voice dropped so low I almost didn't hear it. If I had let him keep it, if I had let any of it in, I would have had to admit I was wrong. That I threw away 9 years. That I pushed away my own grandchildren because I was too proud to say I made a mistake. She stopped. Swallowed hard. For 1 second, maybe 2, I saw the real woman underneath all of it. Not the Beverly who ran the church potluck and kept everybody in line. The woman who was terrified. Who had spent 9 years building walls to avoid having to say 3 words, I was wrong. Then her chin came up. Her back straightened. But you left us. You made your choice. And just like that, it was gone. The moment of honesty, the one real thing she had shown me in 9 years, evaporated like steam off a cup of coffee. Gone before I could grab onto it. I set her list on the left side of the table. I put the binder on the right. Your list. $940,000. 5 bullet points. No apology. I put my hand on the binder. My list. 29 items. 9 years of return cards, ignored phone calls, and a daughter you cut off because she married a man you refused to accept. I did not cut you off. You told your church I abandoned the family. You let Brooke tell people my children had no real grandparents. You tracked my husband's company for over a year and then showed up at my door with an invoice. I closed the binder. The metal rings clicked shut. That sound. You did not come here because you missed me. You came because the numbers changed. Beverly stood so fast the chair scraped the tile. After everything your father and I sacrificed for you, the school clothes, the food on the table, everything. You raised me. That is not a debt. That is just what parents do. We gave you everything. You gave me a card that said come home soon. And then you told me never to come back. She had nothing. I watched her scan through everything she had ever used on me, guilt, obligation, love, anger, and come up empty. None of it fit. There was nothing left to pull. I said the last thing quietly. The way you say the final number at the end of a long meeting. When everything is already decided. You told me he would never be one of us. But for 9 years, his mother was the only grandmother my children have ever had. The words hung there in the kitchen like something solid. She heard them. I watched them land. And then the garage door rumbled. Darius walked in through the laundry room, laptop bag over one shoulder, keys in his hand. He saw Beverly. He saw the binder on the table. He saw me. He set his bag on the counter. Walked over. Put his hand on my shoulder. Sat down beside me. That was all. No speech. No confrontation. No performance. Just a man sitting next to his wife because she needed him there, and he had never once in 9 years needed to be asked. Beverly looked at him. The man she had refused to accept. He was in a worn Vanderbilt hoodie and running shoes. Nothing about him announced $45 million. Just a man. A good man. A father who had shown up every single day for 9 years without anyone asking him to. She looked at his hand on my shoulder. The space between us that had no tension in it, no performance, no need for a single word. She understood. I had not needed the Marsh family. I had built my own. I spoke calmly. I'm not going to give you money, Mom. Not because I can't afford to. Because the moment I hand you a check, you'll tell yourself you were right to wait until it was worth your while. You'll tell Brooke it was just a rough patch. You will turn 9 years of deliberate silence into a misunderstanding. And I will not let you do that. I picked up her list and held it out. She did not take it. That was not a rough patch. It was a choice. Every returned card. every ignored voicemail, every photo of your grandchildren that you looked at and mailed back. I set the list down on the table. If you want to know your grandchildren, really know them not as a line on a budget that starts with an apology. A real one. Not to me. To them. And it does not start today. It starts when you are actually ready to mean it. Beverly picked up her list, picked up her carry-on, walked to the front door. She stopped, turned around, opened her mouth, closed it, and walked out. The door clicked shut. Not a slam. Quiet, clean click. The sound of someone who knows they have just lost something that no amount of money can buy back. If someone has ever come back into your life the moment the numbers changed, I need to hear your story in the comments right now. You are not alone. And if this hit home for you today, share this with someone who needs it. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. This community means everything. 2 weeks passed. Darius and I did not spend much time talking about Beverly. Not because we were avoiding it, because there was genuinely nothing left to resolve. She came with a list. I showed her the binder. She left without a single apology. The math was done. Owen and Maya never knew she had been there. They were in school both times she arrived and left. I wanted it that way. Someday, when they are old enough to understand that some people only see you when the light is favorable, I will tell them. Not yet. Dad called on a Tuesday morning. 9:15. I was at my desk reviewing a vendor contract. Callie. A long pause. Your mom told me what happened. What she came there to do. He stopped. Cleared his throat. I should have driven to Nashville the day those babies were born. I should have picked up the phone any one of those 7 years. I should have been braver than I was. His voice cracked. I am sorry. Not because of the money, I don't want a dime of it. I want to know my grandchildren. If you'll let me try. I was quiet for 17 seconds. Counted them. I believe you, Dad. But believing you and trusting you are two different things. We start with phone calls. Every 2 weeks. No visits yet, no money, just talking. We go slow. That is more than I deserve. It is exactly what you deserve. Not one thing more or less. We said goodbye. I went back to the contract. Brooke sent one text. One line. You could have just helped us. I did not answer. Some texts are their own reply. Beverly did not call. Did not text. Did not write. The silence came back. But this time it belonged to her. I had said everything I needed to say. Whatever happened next was up to her. The binder went back in the bottom drawer. 29 items. 9 years. I did not add a 30th. I hope I never have to. Here is what 9 years of silence taught me. Family is not the people who carry your last name. It is not the people who show up the moment your bank account gets interesting. Family is the people who showed up when your world was small, when your office was a spare bedroom, when the future was uncertain and all you had was each other and a whiteboard from the dollar store and a dream that had not proven itself yet. Family is the woman who drove 4 hours in the middle of the night to hold your newborns, who knitted blankets and taught your son to make biscuits and taught your daughter to name every bird in the backyard, who flew to New York when your company went public and cried watching the stock ticker and said I always knew and meant it every time. That is family. Not because of blood. Not because of money. Because of who shows up when showing up actually costs something. 9 years. 29 items. 1 navy blue binder. And a life that nobody gave me. A life we built ourselves from zero, one honest dollar at a time. If this story reminded you that your worth has nothing to do with your bank account, share it with someone who needs to hear that today. Leave a comment. Tell me your story. Subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you in the next one. Silent revenge.